Hello and welcome to Cricket News Live. Well, it's finally done. So much thinking goes into it every time. The scouts do their work, the teams do their mock auctions, and then finally, when it comes to play, for 2 days, there is a matter of some 200 odd players to be bought, and there is a matter of some teams to be built. Probably for the last time, as reports come in that this might have been the last IPL mega auction, but that's a different matter altogether. It's something that's awaited in the critical calendar, and we are here to talk about it. I'm Rahul Pandey, joined now by Suvajit, Mustafi, and Abhishek Mukherjee to talk about the IPL Mega Auction 2022. Hello, gents. Well, one-word summaries, your one-word summaries of the event that we just saw over the past weekend.
Exhausting.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Abhishek,
Long.
pretty long, pretty
Yeah.
long. And well, before we get into the dynamics, the teams, the players, let's just give a minute to acknowledge two gents who won 1,billion hearts over the past weekend. Charu Sharma and Hugh Edmeans. I mean, that was just some incident that'll stay in my heart for a long, long time now. And the grace with which they just went on with the event, went on with the show. It's something that I'll remember for a long, long time. And it was just amazing to see how quickly things changed, but then how Charu Sharma took over from Hugh Edmeans, and then at the end of the auction, that reception that you got walking into the auction room, it was just heartwarming, wasn't it?
Yep. I mean, first of all, the time Charu Sharma took to set things rolling. I mean, I would probably have been shaving or looking for a suit at that point over that time frame.
Definitely. And even if you're living just by the next block, is just too little to prepare for something as big as this. And it's really tough to comprehend how he put together himself and went on with it. But yeah, credit where it's due. It was a great bit from these two gents. Now let's walk into the less important stuff, shall we? Let's talk about the teams. Let's talk about the players. Let's talk about the pucks that were in. So much money going into some rightly placed, some maybe not so much. We'll talk about all of that. But who the players that you were excited about? And, Abhishek, the credit is due to you as well. Said it, I guess, a month ago that Ishan Kishan might be the most expensive player of this IPL auction, didn't you?
Yes, I said it, but it was also expected.
Yeah.
I mean,
in some ways, yeah. There were, yeah.
I mean, he can bat up and down the order. He can start playing his shots without requiring to get set. He's a left-hander. He keeps wickets, which adds a dimension. Is generally versatile, and if needed, teams could also have looked at him as a captain. I mean, he has led India under 19th in a World Cup. So essentially, I mean, everything was there. I mean, you couldn't find a reason why they won't bid for him. That was the thing. But deep down, we probably all knew that Mumbai would do anything to get him back. The Mumbai had to release him because they could retain only 4. They had to release one of them. They probably would have wanted 5. They could retain 4, and they were planning on buying him back. And so 4 years ago, they did exactly this. So they, at that point, they played the right to match card to get Krunal Pandya back. Krunal was player of the match in the 2017 final. So they played the a right to match card to get Krunal Pandya back. So it's similar.
Yeah, yeah. But even there were a couple of other players who, as the bidding went, towards the long end, I thought might outdo what MI did for Ishan Kishan. I mean, Deepak Chahar, for instance, Chennai would have thought in some sense that they'll have to spend a lot to get him back on board, but they just went all out for him, didn't they? I mean, 14 crores was probably too much given what they expected would be for him.
See, there are two ways of looking at this. First is Chennai want to Chennai have right now. They had this is a mega auction. Remember, 11 men played in the 2021 final, and Chennai have 8 of them back. So they
Yeah,
went all out to get that balance. I mean, they get that combination back. They lost Hazelwood, they lost Shardul, and they lost Faf,
yeah,
but they got everyone else back. So,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, they probably want that. But the question is, at the same time, would you want to invest more for Chahar than Mumbai invest in Bumrah? Is that worth it? I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, but then again, where do you stop? That is a question. I mean, this is something they must have must know what to do. I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing,
yeah,
because once you get past that 11 crore, 12 crore, 13 crore level, when do you stop? When do you
yeah,
give up? When do you back out? That is something you have to decide.
yeah.
I'm sure Chennai know what they're doing. They've been doing this for over a decade. We have only been analyzing it.
Oh
They're
yes.
doing it.
No, it's black magic. It's black magic.
Yeah.
It's black magic. That's all we can say. And I realized this in the 2018 auction. If a team can go up with that strategy and bring as many titles as Mumbai Indians have in the next 4 years, it's black magic. And we don't know the
No,
art of that.
one thing
Probably,
one thing is for sure. I mean, see, in 2020 auctions, Chennai prepared
yeah,
for Chennai were well prepared, but they were caught by the pandemic. They were hit worst by the pandemic because their cricketers were aging. Some of them had
yeah,
retired, so essentially they were hit hard, and they had prepared a team that would play in India on chipper, half their matches in chipper. They ended
yeah,
up playing in neutral venues. So that was the only season,
definitely.
because I would say they got the auctions right, but they were what do you say? I mean, deprived of having the tournament they expected, and it
Yeah,
hit them harder. See, if you are prepared for certain conditions,
yeah,
you are bound to be hit worse than the others. Chennai paid the price of being better prepared.
yeah, yeah. Well, we've been talking about Chennai, and they did lost a jewel in Shardul Thakur. So we've been talking about the players that they did make to the squad, and there would have been these players who would not make up to the squad, even if you want all of them back. But at the end of it, I thought they did get some very nice picks. Let's have a look at the squad once again. If our producer will bring it up. Yep, here we go. MS Dhoni, Ravindra Jadeja, Moin Ali, and Ruturaj Gaikwad were the players that they had retained. And then going into the auction, of course, Deepak Chahar, we've already talked about. Ambati Raidu, Dwayne Bravo, and Robin Uthappa, another three big players who they have retained. Shivam Dubey is a new pick there. KM Asif was with them before, wasn't he?
Yes, and
Rajwardhan Hangarekar. Yeah,
Asif is a lovely pick. Asif, 4 years ago, Asif played for CSK, and he played because Chahar was injured.
yeah,
So Chahar may be injured again. There's no Thakur. So whom do they pick?
yeah,
They pick someone who they
yeah,
had played as Chahar's replacement.
yep,
These players,
yep,
Hari Nishant and Jagdishan, they are very good in domestic cricket
yeah,
and locals. See, the
yeah,
only problem I see in and they have lost Faf, but they have got Conway.
Conway.
Conway is obviously not as good as Faf, but
yeah,
he's younger and is probably a better bargain for
yeah.
3 years. He also
and
keeps wickets.
Definitely.
he's also now 30 plus.
He's also,
Now 30 plus.
yeah,
He's gotten into the CSK club.
that is,
They don't need to groom him that way. Yeah.
there's no
But
Hazelwood,
one of
but they have got Milne.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, they've got the pedigree of overseas players as well. I think in the last two, three sets, they did get these essential players. But one of the big, sort of, not that big, but bidding contests, if we say, in the under 19 group was for Rajwardhan Hangarekar between CSK and MI. And our senior correspondent who did cover the under 19 World Cup in the Caribbean, Sandipan Banerjee, had told us pre-hand that if Rajwardhan Hangarekar, who was talking about these two teams in a net session in Antigua, as he heard him do, was given a preference, he would have gone for Mumbai. But there you go. He's now part of the CSK squad and will be playing under MS Dhoni. But given the conditions in Chepauk, we don't know if the tournament is going to happen up there. We don't know what kind of pitches are going to be there. How big a pick do you see him? Because he can whack the bat as well. We saw that in the under 19 World Cup. Because he can be handy with the bat as well as with the ball.
See, I can see him start the tournament, and I'll tell you why. As I said, they have got 10 of the 11 players in place. They had got 8, and they will probably replace Faf with Conway and Hazelwood with Milne. So that leaves the one spot for Shardul. Who are the replacements? One is Asif. The other is Tushar Deshpande. Deshpande was genuinely quick, but somehow he had that no ball problem, and he played for Capitals, I think, and he did not really replicate. I mean, he was a big. I remember I was in Mumbai when I first heard of him. So he caused a stir. Here is the new fast bowler for India, but he did not really live up to those expectations. Hangarkar, on the other hand, we have seen he's fairly decent, and he's a really big hitter.
Yeah.
I think I was checking his under 19 World Cup and under 19 one-day stats, and I think he has faced 55 balls and he has hit 8 fours and 9 sixes or something, or maybe the other way around. So he's a genuine hitter. So you can see a like for like replacement for Shardul Thakur. I can see him start, or maybe walk into the play from the third or fourth match.
Yeah.
They already have a.
Suvajit, your thoughts on this CSK squad? Yeah.
Yeah, so they already have an express fast bowler in Adam Milne. So yeah, so in place of Tushar Deshpande, I can see Rajwardhan get a start, and they also CSK, we have seen they also like to bat very deep. So that is another reason I feel, and I feel Conway again is a good pick. Conway is a good pick, and overall, I mean, I think CSK have got a good squad. Probably, I mean, I also see Shivam Dubey also start in the 11, and there is some CSK magic. You can keep on analyzing them, but all of a sudden, you'll see a different Shivam Dubey turning out for CSK team for.
Dubey again is very talented. I mean, see, the one person who looks slightly iffy is probably Uthappa. I mean, if they want to go on an all-out attack, probably they may push Moin to 3 and then Raidu. Raidu had a very good 2021. This is something we tend to forget. So Moin at 3, Raidu at 4. And
I think he had the best strike rate. He had the best strike rate of the lot. Yeah.
Yes. So Moin, Raidu, Jadeja, and Dhoni somewhere wherever he wants to, and then at 6 or 7 they can slot in Dubey.
Yeah.
But one thing that I noticed was CSK were aggressively bidding for a established second wicket keeper. So if you see that they were going after Quinton de Kock, even in the later part of the auction, they were also bidding for Riddhiman Saha, and even in the middle part of the auction. So I'm not really very sure that what their plans are and would Dhoni feature in all the games. So that made
Yes.
me think on those lines.
So essentially,
Yeah,
they have already people who can keep wickets. One is Uthappa, two is Conway,
Right.
three is Raidu, and four is Jagdishan. So essentially, they have four people apart from Dhoni who can keep wickets, and three of them, Uthappa, Conway, and
yeah,
Raidu, will probably feature in the 11 anyway. So I'm not sure. I was a bit
yeah,
taken aback when they bid for Saha, but yeah, I mean, I thought Saha would. I mean, Gujarat were waiting for Saha at that point.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, for those of us just joining us, we'd like to tell you that these two fine gents who are talking about the IPL auction will be taking your questions. So if you have any, drop them in the comment section, and we'll get back to you. Right then, we've talked a lot about Chennai. Let's get on to the other team who's won quite a lot of titles, who was for quite some time not looked upon as having a good auction by the fans specifically, but I think they did make out pretty good set of players from the auction. We're talking about, of course, the five-time champions Mumbai Indians had already retained Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, Kyle Pollard, and Suryakumar Yadav. Got Ishan Kishan back on day one, and at quite the price, a whopping 15.5 crore. They got the baby AB, we were talking about where he would be stationed in the IPL season, in the upcoming IPL season. And then they've got some pretty interesting picks in Basil Thampi, Murugan Ashwin, and Jay Unatkar. They do this, Mumbai, don't they? They pick players which won't be on too many radars, and have got a nice bit of overseas section in there. Of course, another big highlight, probably the biggest one of the Mumbai Indians auction war, was Jofra Archer Jofra Archer in the squad alongside Jasprit Bumrah. That'll be some duo to watch, even if it isn't for this season. That'll be some duo to watch. We can wait for it for another season, can't
Yeah, can wait, but somehow I'm this Mumbai side does not inspire a lot. I mean, see, if you try to pick an 11, you'll find that there are not 11 good players. When we think of Mumbai Indians 11, we realize that
we? Yeah,
I mean, we often find that all 11 are good players. Now,
yeah,
some one or more of these cricketers may turn out to be IPL giants in a couple of years' time, but not at this point. At this
yeah,
point, on paper, this Mumbai Indian side does not instill confidence. There
yeah,
are big names, but those big names are competing with each other for slots.
yeah,
And
So if you pick Rohit and Ishan and Surya Kumar and Pollard, Mills and Bumrah, these are the six people who will walk into the side. And then if your two overseas cricketers are David and Allen, who are your other
yeah.
three?
Yeah. There were. I was expecting them to go for Chahal in the
Yep.
auction extensively. They needed that spin. I was also thinking about how they're going to fill in that department, but seems like right now they'll be going with Mayank Markande in that 11.
Yes.
They've seen how he operates, and seen his IPL performances in the past as well, and I think they're banking upon that. And with Mumbai also, there's this thing that they want to groom more young players, don't they? And they have some of them, but you're right. A couple of positions, especially, look like they aren't filled with superstars who can just go out and take them to the winning points in a season, especially the
See,
upcoming
Mumbai
one.
also
Suvajit,
gave the
your
Pandya
thoughts?
brothers and Bumrah,
Yeah,
but maybe
the
one or
all-rounders.
more of these cricketers will evolve into them. I mean, Pandya and Pollard can be replaced
Yeah,
by, say, David, Allen, and Pollard,
definitely. Why not?
but that
Uh,
still leaves some slots open.
yeah,
we
yeah,
only hope here with Mumbai Indians is like again if we go back to 2013 and we see they gave us Jasprit Bumrah. So you never
Hmm.
know what the scouts are thinking, and out of those
yeah,
these relatively unknown names, there might be some future superstar hidden. The other thing that
Yeah.
I am, actually worried about is their overseas players. Like if you look at, apart from Pollard, none of these guys, I guess, Timel Mills, Fabian Allen, then Tim David, these guys, they have a bit of reputation, but they have not proved themselves in the IPL. And are they
Yeah.
automatic picks? I'm not really very sure, and this is something with Mumbai Indians we have not seen in the past. So, but yeah, maybe again, I mean, they are looking ahead and they are looking to build a team for the future, and
Yeah.
uh, maybe I think the management will be okay. Like if they don't go on to win the 2022 edition, but so they might have certain different goals for the long run. I guess.
Perhaps, perhaps. It was surprising though because Mumbai had for larger part of day two at least, and for quite the part day one had a lot of money left in the purse, and they were going for players, but then they were pulling out at some times, and it didn't make sense for someone say like a Chahar. It didn't quite make sense as to what the strategy was, but yeah, we can always bank on the MI management to come up with something special. They have done it in the past. No question why they can't do it in the future. Right then, let's move on to another team. Let's move on to a team that had a good auction in the sense that they got quite the spots filled, and a team that Mr. Abhishek Mukherjee here would like to talk about. Let's talk about Rajasthan Royals. He has his own questions regarding the squad, but to me, on first look here, this looks like a process revamp for them. They've got quite a few players in quite a few positions. The owner seemed pretty confident of the 11. Did also give us a clue that someone like a Devdutt Padikkal would walk in as a number 3 on day one itself when they got them. But then, of course, we had retained Sanju Samson, Yashasvi Jaiswal, Josh Butler. But there you go, the big names on day one: Ravichandran Ashwin, Trent Bolt, Devdutt Padikkal, Shimran Hetmeyer, Prasidh Krishna, of course, but a little bit of recency bias there. Yuzvendra Chahal, and yeah, the big names there. And then on day two as well, Finlay get some of the spots. Got 4 overseas players in 4 minutes, setting some new auction record right there. Abhishek Mukherjee, I'll just drop the mic for you. You can pick up and take us wherever you want with Rajasthan Royals.
This looks probably one better shot, this team. Essentially, I would have been more comfortable had they picked someone like Shakib over someone like Nisham. Not basically the some Nisham is a fine player, but he's in this side. He'll probably be batting one slot higher than he. I mean, he's more comfortable doing.
Yeah.
Um, Padikkal and Jaiswal at the top. I'm not quite comfortable with the idea of Padikkal at the top because
Yeah.
we still don't know where the matches will be held. If it's in Jaipur, if they get matches in Jaipur, they need 2 people who can hit out from the start.
Yeah.
And Padikkal is not someone who will do that. It has to be Jaiswal and Butler.
Yeah. That's what the owner said as well. They're looking
Yeah.
at Padikkal as a number 3. Sanju Samson walks it at 4. Shimron Hetmeyer is their number 5, is what he said as soon as day one's auction bidding
So
process
if
was
these
over.
are your top five, then the other 6 need to bowl. And for that, you probably have to play both Parag and Nisham. And that is not a very good. That it probably ruins the combination a bit. The 4 specialists along with
Hmm.
Nisham and Parag.
Yeah.
So a Shakib instead of one of these two would have been wonderful. But yeah,
Yeah.
otherwise, barring that one all-rounder thing, you get Ashwin and Chahal bowling in tandem, and then you get
Mhm.
maybe Bolt and Prasid. So I think this is a
Yeah.
wonderful combination. But that bit in the middle, who will probably
Yeah.
need to bowl 4 overs between them and
Yeah.
bat after the 16th, 17th over, that may cost Rajasthan a few matches.
Yeah. Yeah. Suvajit?
I agree with Abhishek da, that they look to be a batter shot in the middle overs, and somebody like Shakib could have done a lot of good for the side. And uh, but I also like the overall the kind of players that they have picked this season. The
Yeah,
bowling looks pretty solid with Bolt, Krishna, and especially the spin attack. Everybody has been talking about Ashwin and Chahal. Uh,
yeah,
and again, like if they get in a batter, a specialist batter in place of Riyan Parag, and if Nisham doesn't play, and they can even opt for somebody like a Coulter-Nine, that
yeah,
even further strengthens the bowling attack. Again,
yeah,
it's very condition specific. And also, I mean, they also have this flexibility in their top four. Like anybody can open, like including Sanju Samson. And so the thing is that with Jaiswal, Padikkal being two left-handed batters, then you have
yeah,
Samson, you have Butler. So they can again choose according to conditions and bowling attacks that how to how to go ahead. And Padikkal at number three, again, I don't think it's a bad idea, because I am
mhm,
of the opinion that if you have somebody like a Josh Butler in your side, he has to open the
yeah,
batting. And we
Mm.
have seen what he has done
mm,
in the past, and banking on his IPL success, even England have started opening with him, with Bairstow moving down the order. So
yeah,
it is always good to have Butler open. And like what everybody has been talking, I'm looking forward to Ashwin and Butler, celebrating a run out at the non-strikers end together.
I'm all in for that. But another point, we have a Ravichandran Ashwin, a Yuzvendra Chahal, a Jimmy Neesham, and the OGRR admin in the same side. I mean, what sort of content can we just wait for to come our way in the upcoming season? I'm all in for that. But apart from that, interesting bit. We're talking about them, being flexible with their top four. We can also talk about a pitch like, say, Sharjah last season with the early 10 overs. And KKR actually come up with this formula a little too late, probably, close to the knockouts there, that in the first 10 overs, you go slow and then you hit hard in the last 10. That was the sort of strategy that got them to the highest total on that ground. Maybe, just maybe think about using Padikkal and Yashasvi Jaiswal earlier that time and then go for Joss Butler or Hetmeyer in the middle order. At times, if you have a wicket like that,
Um, no, why hold back? I mean, they have the hitters.
yeah,
Yeah, Jaiswal, you have Samson. Samson played slower last season, but we know what he's capable of. He was consciously
yeah,
playing a slow role, and then then you have Butler and Hitmeyer. So four of them.
yeah.
So why slow down?
Perhaps. We'll only find out come the season. And yeah, let's move on to another team who surprisingly had quite the auction, but yeah, they've got quite a few boxes ticked, just as Rajasthan. We're talking about Punjab Kings. Let's take a look at their lineup. Solid right from the start, got the right picks. They, of course, had retained only two players, walked in with a big purse, and made sure they got the big players by that. Shikhar Dhawan, Kagiso Rabada, Johnny Bairstow. I mean, just look at those first three picks and then assess what's to come later. They got Liam Livingston in for a big purse. They got Shah Rukh Khan, and yeah, they got Rahul Chahar as well to back up the spin bowling there. And yeah, that's the big buys that they got in the auction right then. But apart from that, they've got young superstars coming in. They've got players who can fill in spots when others are injured, as we talk about. That's pretty important in a tournament like this. Ishan Porel, once again, back in the Punjab squad. I'm looking at that and liking that. Raj Bawa, someone like a Raj Bawa, an all rounder who can pick the wickets, pick 5 wickets in a tournament and score a century, as he has shown us in the Under 19 World Cup. Bright prospect there. Odin Smith was one of the picks we were talking about, will get a lot given the recency bias factor going into the auction. But yes, given the extensive research that the scouts would have done for his name, as Abhishek did mention just during the ODI series. What are your thoughts, gents, about this Punjab lineup? First thoughts?
Rabada and who?
Yeah,
Rabada
Ashwin,
bowls 4 overs. Okay, Ashdeep bowls another four, and then
yeah.
Where are the
Sandeep
quality
Sharma.
bowlers? Where are the
They go to
quality
Sandeep.
bowlers?
Yeah,
Probably between Odin Smith, Harpreet Brar, and Rahul Chahar.
I mean,
Chahar is
this
obviously going to
bowling,
be before. Yeah,
this bowling lineup won't stand up against some of the power hitting batting lineups. I mean, consider the Rajasthan top four or top five.
yeah,
They play out Rabada 4 overs and then what? How is this
yeah.
bowling attack? I mean, I know Punjab will end up taking it to the last ball against Rajasthan, but that's another thing.
They certainly have the
But
batting order to do so. They
this,
have the batting
yes,
order to
the
do that as
Punjab
well.
batting. I thought until last time Punjab kept the acceleration often for too late. Rahul and Mayank both are capable of hitting, but they started
Yeah,
that onslaught very late, match after match, in
yeah,
2020 and 2021. I hope Dhawan and Mayank don't do the same because they are likely to open, and they have three phenomenal hitters, Besto and Livingston and Shah Rukh Khan. That's three. If they are there, three, four,
yeah,
five. I just
yeah,
hope Dhawan and Mayank do not keep the postpone the onslaught
yeah.
until the 10th over. So Punjab, they are a side that can put up 200 every now and then, but I really doubt whether they can defend 200 every now and then.
Yeah, that's a good question. Sujit, we're talking about, of course, big hitters. They have also got, if you can have a look at the squad once again, producer साहब एक बार graphic अगर आप वापस ला लेंगे तो yeah, there we go. They've alongside Shah Rukh Khan, alongside Liam Livingston and Johnny Besto, they've got Odin Smith. Uh, who else do you see here benefiting the batting lineup? We've talked about Raj Baba as well, but who else do you see
So
fulfilling the batting demands lower down the order?
I think Rishi Dhawan had a very good
Hmm.
Vijay Hazare Trophy. So I see Rishi Dhawan starting and Raj Bawa and Rishi Dhawan, they will be like probably rotating, depending on how they play. But
Yeah,
with a lot of domestic experience over the last few years, and having the India cap and Rishi Dhawan. For that matter. He looks a more evolved player at this point
Yes.
of time, and I think he'll play an important role.
yeah,
Again, Shah Rukh, I think, needs to bat at number five. I think that he has been batting too low down the order. Last season
Yeah.
also we saw what we
Five is minimum. I mean,
yeah
not the maximum
yeah,
in the top
because
five.
yeah, so Johnny Bestol, Livingstone, and Shah Rukh. They also, I think, Mayank can also depending on certain conditions, Besto could also open the batting, and Mayank would probably move at number three. And yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of talk about having at least one anchor in your side. Like most of the teams, they have one batter. So probably Shikhar Dhawan would be that guy who would be expected to play the same role that he played for Delhi Capitals last season, getting a lot of runs and just slightly hanging
yeah,
out there. And we know that if Dhawan usually doesn't hang out without, and if he gets the start, he sort of makes it up with the on the strike
yeah,
rate front, and
yeah,
the batting looks really good. Bowling again on paper it looks good because we have seen Harpreet Brar having a couple of good games last season. Then Odin Smith, of late we have seen that he's been bowling very well. But like what Abhishek Das said, that what if they are uh, under the pump, and how they
yeah,
there is a lot of a dependency on Rabada and of course Ashdeep, because the last couple of seasons we have seen him evolve as a bowler. And
yeah,
again Rahul Chahar, we have seen he's uh, the last season was perhaps like we saw both the contrasting sides of Rahul Chahar. The first half
yeah,
he was brilliant, and then eventually he lost his pace, and then
yeah,
the form eluded him. So again, I'm not very sure that how much they can completely rely on Rahul Chahar as a
yeah.
bowling.
Yeah, couple of bowling options short there, I guess. But yes, always interesting to see what Punjab does, and we'll find out how they go about with this lineup. I saw an interesting dismissal by Liam Livingston yesterday, so perhaps they might want to look into how he can operate with the ball as well. Give you those 4 overs every now and then. Not every match, but every now and then. Yep. Let's go on to another team now. We shall now talk about Delhi Capitals. Delhi Capitals had a nice auction, didn't they? I mean, here's their lineup. They already had retained Rishabh Pant, Akshar Patel, Prithvi Shaw, and Anrik Norkia. Got Shardul Thakur, Mitchell Marsh, and David Warner for quite the price. Both these Aussie superstars who led Australia to their final win in the T20 World Cup, in the recent T20 World Cup, at quite the bargain, I'll say. Chetan Sakaria, Kuldeep Yadav, Mustafizur Rahman, they got quite a few players at some bargain, and that was courtesy of one fine gent who actually made a mess for quite a few teams on the tables, just made them confused for what sort of choices Delhi had for their lineup, and it just made them bid more and more for their players, so that Delhi, at times, when they thought he was trying to fool them, got a few players at quite the bargain, didn't he?
Yeah, Delhi probably has one of the best sides.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you can see that they, I mean, one thing is that just like, say, Rajasthan, they have that slight problem at number 5 or 6, number 6, 7, thereabout. Otherwise, I can see the top 4 is settled and they have a solid bowling attack. But that number 5, 6, 7, around that zone, you see a slight, I mean, uncertainty.
Sure. But who are the obviously dominating role in this particular side? We obviously know of the top order, David Warner, and alongside him, who do you see opening?
Prithvi Shaw,
Prithvi Shaw.
Position.
David Warner, Prithvi Shaw, and then definitely
Mitchell
David
Marsh,
Warner,
Rishabh
Prithvi
Pant.
Shaw. Pant comes in at 4-3. Yeah, Mitchell Marsh, Rishabh Pant, and then
I think
if we can
go
have a
with
look
that
at the
left hand, right
graphic
hand
once
thing.
again. Yeah,
They may
yeah,
back that
that
left hand, right
combination
hand
is
thing.
good. I think Akshar might even get a few more opportunities to bat out, and he might
I
have
remember
to turn
the
himself into
Delhi
the finisher
Chennai
that he
match last year.
might.
The Delhi Chennai match last year, both teams tried Akshar and
2020,
Shardul up the order.
2020. Yeah,
No, 2021.
2020. I guess he finished. 2020. I guess he finished one of the games versus Chennai,
I
where
think
Shikhar got 100.
uh,
They were
no,
chasing a
in
big one
2020, in
in Sharjah.
2021, Akshar and Shardul were both tried at number 4.
Yeah, I remember this game. They played 4 times. How many times last season? Delhi and Chennai. 3 times.
Thrice, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Not
thrice. Qualifier one was
thrice.
their last meeting.
Yeah, so
Qualifier one was their
the
last meeting.
one,
Yeah,
the qualifier one, I think Delhi pushed Akshar to 4, and then Chennai pushed Shardul to 4.
yeah,
So now they have both of them, Delhi, and
yeah,
so I don't know. I mean, maybe Pant and Ponting believe in pushing one of them up the
yeah,
order, even if it's for left hand, right hand, even if it's just for slogging. Basically, the pinch
yeah,
hitter concept. If they get out, then you don't lose anything, but if they connect, then uh, you gain. Otherwise, I can see
yeah,
a Warner and Shaw open, and then they stick to the left hand right hand combination. If a left hander gets out, they send a left hander. So
yeah.
Uh,
Yep, yep.
I see Mandeep Singh, playing in the middle order, probably in the role of a finisher. We have seen him do that in the past for RCB as well, and again he
Yep.
comes with a wealth of experience. Then Rovman Powell is another guy, and I'm
hmm.
looking forward to.
Yeah,
Uh, Again, probably what they were in a bit of dilemma last 2 seasons. Where does Marcus Stoinis bat? is he your right number three? What he has been doing at BBL, or he is your finisher. We've seen him come late in the order and finish games as well. But now with Mitchell Marsh and Rodman Powell, they have that sort of flexibility. But what I am a bit concerned about is their bowling, because the bowling was their strength, and they had Nokia, they had Rabada, they had Avesh Khan, then they had three
Yep.
quality spinners in Mishra and Ashwin and Aksar. So Aksar, I definitely will be the leading spin bowler, but again, with Kuldeep, we don't know what we will get. I mean, is he a reliable option? I mean, we are not really very sure. Then you have your Chetan Sakaria. Again, he's a promising bowler. He's played for India now. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, but again, to have him as your main bowler, and Shardul again, he's a wicket taker,
Hmm.
but also leak runs. And Nortya's fitness is an issue. He has not played since
Yes.
the 2021 World Cup, and so I'm slightly worried over there, because the
Yeah.
only other quality overseas fast bowling option that you have is Mustafizur Rahman, and again,
Ngidi.
I pardon,
Ngidi.
Engidi. Lungi
Ngiri is
Engidi.
Lungi Ngiri is there, and yeah, and Mustafizur Rahman I think is
Yes.
again a condition specific bowler in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
overall.
but yeah, they did make for an interesting buy in a slow left arm orthodox who can, of course, turn the ball, but then also make the batter play for the turn when there isn't any. Of course, they had Akshar Patel who can do that, who has done that. But now they also have a Vicky Oswa who has done
And they
that in
have
the Under
Kuldeep.
19 World Cup. And they have Kuldeep. So those are
Yes.
three
So
nice spin bowling options.
yes.
Uh,
So they basically replace the Ashwin Mishra combination with this one.
yeah, yeah.
They were always keen on an Indian spin attack, and they have replicated that. So that is okay. That strategy is in place.
Yep. Yep, yep. Probably groom someone like a Vicky Oswal. And I find it interesting that he's going to spend time with someone like Akshar, who has gone on to the Indian circuit and probably has a lot to offer to the youngster there. Yash Dhul, another under 19 India World Cup winning squad pick. Where do you see him lining up in this squad? Is there a place for him, for say, in this particular squad?
He won't. He will probably not start, but he's a he is fantastic. You've seen him bat
Yeah,
in the World Cup. He's fantastic. Just
yeah,
I wish he gets I wish he gets more matches. I mean, several
yeah.
matches, because it's a delight watching him bat.
So,
There's something about Delhi picking India's under 19 World Cup winning captains, isn't it? There's something about that. A good and not so good feeling about that. But yeah, there's something about that. They do go for these guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next team. Otherwise, our producer is going to throw virtual papers on us. Yep, let's now come to the new sides. They had something of an auction to offer us. Let's talk about Lucknow Supergiants first. There was a lot of disappointment in the way they portrayed themselves on the social media, but there you go. Has Lucknow not entertained you in the auction? Deepak Huda, Jason Holder, straight away two big names from the India West Indies series going on. Manish Pandey finds a home in Lucknow now. Quinton de Kock, they've got a fine opener there. Krunal Pandya finds home there. Mark Wood comes in as a pace. Avesh Khan, of course, will find a space in that 11 given the performance that he gave us. Even Lewis, they got another pick at that opener spot. And he showed us with Rajasthan in the absence of Jos Butler at times how, that opening spot can go around in the power play overs, hitting shots right away going into the match. So that's a good sign for them. And they'd already retained KL Rahul, Marcus Stoinis, Ravi Bishnoi. I see quite a lot of spots filled up by them going into the first match.
Mm, I see a problem. The middle order again. So if
Okay.
Rahul and Deepak open, which they are likely to, if Stoinis
Yeah.
bats at 3, again very
Mm-hmm.
likely, and
Mm-hmm.
then is say Manish Pandey and their all rounders, are they? will they be able to hold up against a quality bowling attack with quality death
Um,
bowlers? Suppose against Bumrah and Mills bowling at the death.
yeah,
Do they have
yeah.
the batting firepower to hold up against these people?
Do they go with the Manish Pandey at 3? Uh, I'm thinking they might go with
If it's
Manish
Pandey at
Pandey
three,
at
then
3.
it's Stoinis at four. But the problem
Yeah,
is they're five, six, seven,
Holder at 5. A little early
and
on portion.
then
And you pray for the
Huda,
best, and then you pray that
Huda
your
and
wickets don't
Kunal,
fall.
Deepak
Yeah,
Huda and Kunal Pandya. Yeah.
the
yeah,
best of
yeah.
friends.
7. You got the 7 there.
So, do
That
you
that was
think
an
this
element of this
this
auction, wasn't it? Before we talk the dynamics, that was an element of this auction. Suvajit, I read your tweet and Facebook post that IPL is all about bringing players together. And you saw quite a lot of players who we never thought would play together. We saw Ashwin and Joss Butler. We saw
so
Krunal
Harbhajan
Pandya
and
and the old.
Simons?
Harbhajan Simons and Ponting.
That we saw in the past. Yeah,
So
yeah. That's going to be tough. And by the way, cheeky Rajasthan Royals handle once again, pushing the talk straight away. Scenes when Krunal Pandya and Deepak Chahar play together in the camp, but that sort of banter really goes around in the camp. Right. So, coming back to the lineup once again, we were talking about 7 spots filled up. You have 1 overseas spot left. You'll probably go with the Mark Wood.
yeah.
Fitness issues will be a big thing for him as well to operate in a tournament like this. Closely congested games might be a big sort of factor to see how he goes about in the 11 in every match. But who else? The Indian bowlers, who do you see featuring in this lineup?
Maybe Gotham. Again, he gives you that
Bishnoi,
option.
Bishnoi and Avesh for
Vishnu is
sure.
already there. Vishnu, yeah,
Vishnu and Avish
definitely.
Khan, definitely,
So you have
and
10 players there. Yeah,
Mhm.
Gotham would probably make it because again he can bat. He has a fantastic strike rate, and if he's
yeah,
bowling well, then definitely him. And Mark Wood again, there's a fitness issue, and they have
yeah.
Chamira as a if he's not fit, then Chamira comes in.
Again, the yeah, I suppose this is what it is.
Then Shahbaz Nadeem is also there, by the
I
way.
mean, there will
Yes,
be.
yes.
Yeah. Uh, there were a few questions on perhaps every team is going to miss out on a few spots, and that sort of did show that maybe the franchisees weren't really ready for a 10-team auction. They weren't ready for the uh, in a sense, when they miss out on a few players, who are they going to get in place of them? A couple of franchisee really looked sort of in question at the stages when they did lose on a player. Perhaps it's because of that we don't have backup players, a lot of good backup players, quality backup players, or a lot of not so fulfilled 11. But yes, I think look like they have some sort of 11. They can go with it. They have some name in that, as we talked about. And I was really happy for
But
Chelsea
that
Bold
was inevitable, no? That
finally
was
getting the
inevitable.
recognition that he
Suppose
did in the bid.
but that was inevitable because that is always inevitable because if there are say 40 quality players, if it's 8 teams, you get 5 per
Yeah.
team. If it's 10 teams, you get 4 per team. So that will always happen. So if you increase
Yeah.
the number of teams, it will be the number of quality players per team will be fewer. So at
Yeah. Which
some
is why
point
I
they'll
think
have
we
to be
talked
ready for a
about
10 team.
before. Uh, yeah, 10-team auction. But which is why we talked about before. I think this was 6 months back or so. We were talking about how IPL can now move into the transfer window stuff. The players, of course, develop teams do that, and it's sort of a lose out factor for teams to develop players and then see them go to another franchising, right? I think it's a good way to reward them for sort of their scouting system, for their management system, to bring up these players onto the world stage and then groom them. I think it can be good for a league that has 10 teams going forward, that you also lay emphasis on youth academies, but that's a long shot right now talking about it. But yeah, it can be a good way around for franchisees to go about. Let's talk about the other team, the other new team. Quite the laughs on that table. We're talking about Gujarat Titans, and there you go. They've retained Hardik Pandya, Rashid Khan, and they've got Hardik Pandya, Rashid Khan, and Shubman Gill early on, and then in auction they picked up likes of Mohammad Shami, Jason Roy, Loki Ferguson, Rahul Tewatia went for quite the cost there. And Matthew Wade, they got for the longest time. We were thinking about, okay, did Gujarat find a memo where they were told that they need a wicketkeeper going into this? But they did get one. David Miller, and there's some nice picks there. Alzari Joseph as well, who is a good pace, as we've seen that before in Indian conditions. And yeah, quite a lot there to talk about. Jen's first thoughts?
It's a strong team. They're probably one batter short. That's my general feeling.
Again, the middle order, I would say, like Vijay Shankar suddenly becomes your main batter in the middle order. So which might be a good thing because he was not getting enough opportunities, to bat in the top order for Sunrisers. Uh, but then again, he has a lot of experience and he has not really set alight any edition of IPL. So to completely bank on him, and then you
Yeah,
have Abhinav Manohar or Gurkirat Singh being your another lead batter in the middle order. So
And you
that's going,
have to, so
yeah.
essentially it comes to a situation where you have to play Matthew Wade ahead of Saha, and that means you are foregoing one of your overseas bowlers,
yeah,
Uh,
and that is going to be a problem.
the other
yeah.
way to look at it is if they think of strengthening their middle order by pushing Riddhiman Saha down. Sorry, pushing
Mm-hmm.
Shubman Gill down.
Yes, yes,
You open with Riddhiman Saha
yes.
with Jason Roy. That could be the
Yeah,
other way to look at it. And yeah, so then they have the option to play either David Miller or maybe Alzari Joseph as your second foreign pacer. But uh, yeah, but I think the bowling lineup looks pretty strong.
yeah,
Loki Ferguson, again, I'm very excited to see Sai Kishore and
Hmm.
Rashid Khan bowling together. Then you also have
yeah,
Rahul Tewatia, and
yeah,
so it's a good spin attack. They've got good pace bowlers. With Hardik Pandya, there's always a suspense whether he will bowl or not bowl. But if he's bowling,
yeah,
it's better. But yeah, one thing that I would like to point out is in the Pacers, Ferguson, Shami, Alzari Joseph, and now even Pandya. They
yeah,
have the history with injuries, and
yeah.
that is something that I am concerned about.
So what is the backup? Not much, right? No, not much.
No, they've got quite a few batters there.
They've got Dominic Drake.
They have
Yeah.
Dominic Drakes. They also have this UP pacer Dayal, I think.
Yes.
Yash Dayal, yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
So he's the other option. Noor Ahmed is another. I
Hmm.
think he's a left arm wrist spinner. Oh yeah,
Yes.
and of course Abhishek the Jayant Yadav is there.
Yeah. How could I forget?
yeah, yep. Jayant Yadav will perhaps find more spot in the 11 here, more matches in the 11 in this lineup.
I think they'll pick Sai Kishore over him.
Yeah, I think so. He he has a T20 economy rate of I think 5.4. Sai Kishore in like around
Mhm.
40 games he's played.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gujarat, they're pretty exciting as they are going to be given their coach and captain combination as well. That'll be something to watch out. There was already quite a lot of thought going into the auction how Gary Kirsten and Ashish Nehra are going to operate together, two very different individuals. But I would love a stump mic in that dressing room.
They
I
did
would
well in the
love an
2011
audio.
World Cup.
They did. They
Yeah.
definitely did. But Ashish Nehra, the coach, is definitely going to be different than Ashish Nehra, the bowler. We can bank on that. Yeah.
Ashish Mehra the head
Right
coach.
then. Ashish Nehra, the head coach, I'm so sorry, did also give there was a moment in the auction we need to
He was
mention
pulling
this.
Zahid Khan's leg.
Oh yes,
He was
gave
pulling
Arjun
Zahid Khan's
Tendulkar a
legs.
10 lakh raise in that auction
He
at
just
a
scared
particular
Zahid Khan.
instance. Scared the heck out of the Mumbai Indians table at that point. They were,
You
of
should have
course,
seen
having laughs.
if you see that moment on video, you have to check Zahid
Yeah,
Khan's
I
reaction.
did. I did. Not just Zahid Khan, Akash Ambani's reaction right there, because of course wearing the mask, but you could tell that Mumbai was startled by Gujarat going for Arjun Tendulkar. But yes, all in good laughs there. Let's move on to another team now. Time to talk about a team that is always talked about a lot. Always, before the IPL, after the IPL, during the IPL. Their fans are really passionate as to how their team does, more passionate and angry when they lose. Let's talk about Royal Challengers Bangalore. How did they fare up? Had retained Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell, and Mohammad Siraj, and did got Harshal Patel, Wanindu Hasaranga back in the lineup. But they did also get Faf du Plessis early on, probably filling up that opener squad. There were talks about them getting Shreyas Iyer, but since they haven't gotten him, Faf du Plessis, the captain pick, might be possible. Dinesh Karthik, back in Bangalore, and
Mhm.
we have Finn Allen as well, who Abhishek Da was talking about a lot, even during IPL
Yes.
2021, before the podcast that we did for IPL 2020. A couple of interesting picks there. So, what do you make of this particular squad? Are RCB fans, can they be optimistic with this squad going into IPL 2022?
See, Faf and Kohli, and if Maxwell bats at 3 and Karthik bats at 6, who are your 4 and 5?
Yeah.
So that is the
Uh,
question.
But
You
probably
already
this.
used up, you've already used up 2 overseas cricketers there.
yep.
If so, and
Uh,
if you want Hazelwood, and if you want Hasaranga, so
yeah.
you have to get into Indian cricketers. Who are your 4 and 5?
Yep. Uh, I guess that's a big question. They might have to go with just one overseas player with the ball if they are to fill in that spot, because that
And
looks more
that's
likely
a
now if they are to put
that's a
pedigree in the
compromise.
batting.
That's a compromise. That's a compromise. I
They'll
mean,
have to
They
compromise
will
somewhere then. Yeah.
mm,
Anuj Rawat, Dinesh Karthik, and Mahipal Lomro will have to take on a lot of responsibility. There's also
yes.
Shahbaz Ahmed, somebody they
So
have.
we may see Maxwell batting down the order.
And there's a lot of talk about Faf du Plessis being the captain. I think Faf
Yeah.
is a good choice for captaincy, but again, I mean, if you there's always this risk that comes with a foreign player being your captain. Like, what if Faf loses form, and
Yeah.
again they have to change your captain, and that also restricts somebody like Finn Allen's chances in
Will
playing.
Faf play for 3 years? That is the question.
Uh, I'm more worried about will Faf play all the games, like because with Faf we have seen that the form is
Yes.
not always. I mean, sometimes he has this habit of going for a 4-5 match lean phase, and they would not want to get in a situation like how KKR got with Morgan
Yeah.
last season. And,
Mm.
so we all are talking about Faf. Of course, he's a quality player. He is a proven leader, but uh, the age is not on his side. Again, we have to
The
make.
only other senior Indian senior is Dinesh Karthik, but he again will is he an option for 3 years? Don't know.
We are taking a
Yeah.
leaf
So
out of Dhoni's book, probably yes,
yeah,
but
he already has an alternative profession. So I'm not sure how long he'll be playing in the IPL.
Yeah.
But yeah, but there's no Indian senior. There's I mean the only other overseas senior is Maxwell or Hazelwood.
Yep.
So, but okay, I mean, as long as we saw, I mean, KKR I mean, Delhi do reasonably well with Iyer and Pant, cricketers whom we who were not perceived as potential leaders at some point,
Yeah,
potential IPL leaders. Rajasthan have been doing okay under Samson. And Kolkata did well under Karthik.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we are
I think
considering
for a
Karthik
two
at this
month,
point.
yeah, for a 2 month tournament or 2.5 month tournament, if you have a management team
Hmm.
that can also back the captain, it sort of
Yes,
just fills in that void. You don't necessarily need someone big experience in captaincy, and we've seen that now. And probably with Bangalore, they might just only have the question if they want to groom a new leader, then who do they pick in that sense? But for now, I
yeah,
think Faf du
maybe
Plessis.
this is how captains are often created. I mean, there's
Who
no one,
knows?
so they pick
Yeah,
one person, they back them, and maybe that
yeah,
person helps Bangalore create history.
But I would
That
really
can
want to
happen.
maybe.
see Finn Allen in that lineup because
Yes,
he's
yes, yes.
the X factor player, and if Finn
Finn
Allen,
Allen is destructive, absolutely. I mean,
I
the
mean,
last year
his
they picked
Yeah,
him.
I think 175 strike rate, T20 strike
Yes,
rate 175, and from a sizable number of games, like around 60 odd games.
I know
So
he plays
yeah.
in relatively smaller grounds, but even then, 175 is a lot of. I mean, incredible.
I think even in the 7-8 T20 eyes he's played, I think it's close to 200. I think 190,
Yes,
200
yes.
is his strike
He's
rate.
a fantastic hitter.
But again, if you're picking Finn Allen, Faf du Plessis,
Yeah, there goes the question that you don't have too many choices in the bowling attack. Wanindu Hasaranga, I think, will find more spot in this 11. Uh,
Hmm.
RCB losing out on a Chehel, and now pretty much will have to bank on Wanindu Hasaranga as their chief spinner in that role. Can also
And
bat that we
Hazelwood
have
as the
seen
main
of
pacer.
him. Yeah,
Hazelwood and Herschel look a decent, are more than
yeah.
formidable pair.
and
Hazelwood, by the way, giving quite the super over yesterday against Sri
Mhm.
Lanka, giving quite the hope to RCB fans for death bowling, which has been a big issue. But now this is a revamped squad, and we've seen Harshal Patel in that role as a death bowler, did pretty well in last season around, and probably Hazelwood alongside him can make for a nice duo. But there are a couple of concerns in that lineup as far as where do you go with your third and fourth overseas player? Are they just going to be batters or are they just going to be bowlers? Need to be find out. We'll need to find out just when the season begins. Right then, let's go with another team now. Let's talk about the team that beat Bangalore in the 2016 IPL final. There was a lot of intrigue as to how and where Sunrisers Hyderabad will go after this auction. And they had the slow start. They had a start where, as you had me quoted, I thought you said you were going to go with your first pick on day two. Well, that was really something. They picked up players late on and did get few of them in the quality sense. Nicholas Pooran, a lot of bucks spent on him. Washington Sundar. They've got Natarajan and Bhuvneshwar Kumar back. Priyam Garg back. And Abhishek Sharma back, who Abhishek, of course, likes to see bat.
Yes, yes.
Then they've got a couple of interesting players from the Rajasthan Royals lineup: Kartik Tyagi, Shreyas Gopal. We have seen them perform for
Oh, we are
Rajasthan,
used
and
to it. We are used to it. Rajasthan was building cricketers for other teams.
oh yeah, definitely. That's why we're suggesting the whole transfer window thing, which will really help Rajasthan preserve the players that they create
Hmm.
and all the other teams. But yes, on first thoughts now, uh, do you believe that Hyderabad made up for that slow and sluggish start in the auction and have somehow found a lineup that they can bank on?
I think they have a very good team for 2023, 2024. Because see, I have said this before. Hyderabad's biggest problem was their four overseas slots were taken. I mean, they
Yeah,
almost always had to pick Warner and Besto and
yeah,
Williamson and
Rashid.
Rashid. So that
Yeah,
left them, that forced them to pick an all Indian pace attack. That forced them to pick an all Indian middle order. So now they
yeah,
probably have addressed that. So the problem with Hyderabad was not flexibility. It was not
yeah.
talent, or lack of talent. It was lack of flexibility.
Flexibility. Yeah,
Even now, if they pick Markram and Williamson and Nicholas Puran, so now they are left with. only one overseas slot.
Who are the
So
Indian bowlers you see in that lineup going again? Once again, are they banking for Bhuvneshwar Kumar and T. Nataraj in
yes, yes,
every
yes.
match in, match
And
out?
Umran Malik, don't forget him.
Oh, yes, they retained that boy. They didn't
Hmm.
want to let him go. Abdul Samad, of course, has also been retained, so you would want to use him as much
They
as you
also
They
can
have
in
retained
that
their
11.
Karthik
they
Tyagi.
retained the Indian trio I really like to watch, but they don't get enough chance. Garg, Abhishek Sharma, and Abdul Samad.
Yeah,
I can see Karthik Tyagi. So
yeah.
essentially, it can be Bhuvaneshwar, Umran Malik, Natarajan, and Karthik Tyagi. And to go with that, Washington Sundar. I think that's a fantastic pack.
Yeah.
Quite a few young players there, aren't they? I mean, yeah, they're
Hmm.
definitely right. I mean, for the upcoming years, if they can just go about with these young players and they can create something really special, uh, definitely a team to look out for in the future and how they shape up with these youngsters. Suvajit, your thoughts?
So see, I think middle order batting was one of their major problems. I think that
Yeah,
has been because again that was not giving. And with Bairstow, Williamson, and Warner, there was always this debate, like which of the two should open the batting. Because again, we have seen
yeah,
that Williamson being more effective as an opener, and when he plays in the middle order, he's slightly adopting a more cautious approach. So I think with
yeah,
Markram in that side, uh, Markram can move down the order. Then again, you have somebody like Rahul Tripathi, Abhishek Sharma. These guys are floaters, and I wouldn't even mind that somebody like Abhishek Sharma or Washington Sundar even opening the batting. So I like the
yeah,
flexibility in the side, and Williamson could be one of the openers. And there's not to forget, there's also Rahul Tripathi, by the way,
Yes.
uh,
yeah,
in
yeah,
the same side. And Romario Shepherd is one of their foreign players and overseas players. So, but there might be the lineup that Abhishek Das suggested. We might even see them just adopting a strategy where they just play three overseas players, not four.
And
Uh,
the
yeah.
thing is, they have a lot of batters who can bowl. So they
exactly.
can go in with four specialist bowlers. So, and
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of Puran. I've always been. I know they probably spend too much on him, but I don't mind that
Yeah.
because of my
Yeah.
bias. I really like watching Puran bat.
That's all Cricket News Live is all about. I mean, we like our biases and we bank on them and we back them for as long as we can. Sometimes without any proof, but we don't need that. The players will make up for it. It might be a nice change of air for Nicholas Puran as well. We've seen that, when you change franchisees, when you're given different roles, it somehow works in your favor. Quite a few
Yeah,
times we've
we've
seen that.
seen that many times,
Perhaps,
many
yeah,
many times.
yeah, yep, yep. Right then, Hyderabad is also done. If we can now move to the next franchisee, it'll be great. Kolkata.
The better
Yes, the
biryani.
team.
In ascending order of biryani quality, Hyderabad, then Kolkata.
Oh my God. We will have a long talk on that post this particular live. Let's not
Now there's
trifle with
Lucknow as
the
well, by the
audience
way.
that we have.
Yeah, now there's Lucknow as well.
We can have a biryani triangular series, is what
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
suggesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And perhaps if one of the teams is knocked out in the playoffs, we can have a nice bit of biryani combination going towards the final. But yes, let's come to the squad once again. Kolkata, there you have it. The four players that they retained were Andre Russell, Sunil Narayan, Venkatesh Iyer, and Varun Chakravarti. They've got Nitish Rana back. They've got Pat Cummins back. They've got Shivam Mavi back for quite the price. Rinku Singh as well. But then they got Shreyas Iyer, and we thought, okay, there's the guy that Bangalore wanted to make a captain out of. There's the potential captain for Kolkata. Then they also got Ajinkya Rahane, and they did mention that Rahane has been brought in a leadership position during the auction, and that was just quite the
Yeah,
surprise, quite the surprise.
yeah.
But yes,
Especially when you
interesting
have
picks.
a recently Ashes winning Test captain in the squad. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
I,
I
I
mean, we
don't
were all
know.
in for Pat Cummins might come in as the KKR captain. I mean, quite a few KKR fans were excited by that prospect, and why not? But they also have, once again, if you take a look at the graphic, they also have a few interesting picks there. And yes, Alex Hales, Sam Billings at quite the bargain, Tim Southey. Once again, we'll see him, and he's played for Bangalore, and we'll see him in the Kolkata colors. Mohammad Nabi towards the end was a nice pick, I believe. But who are the Indian players here who excite you
See,
and who you see in the
I'll
lineup?
tell you. I'll tell you something. I have a lot of I live in Kolkata, so obviously I have friends who are KKR supporters, and last night kept getting these WhatsApp messages. Who is Abhijit Tomar? Who is Pratham Singh? Who is Rashik Salam? Who is Aman Khan? Who is Ramesh Kumar? Who is Ashok Sharma? So, I mean,
Public service, sir. Public service. Did you give them the answers on that?
let's see. The point is, a lot of people do not. A lot of them have not played many domestic. A lot of domestic. I mean, Baba Indrajit is of course a senior, but
Yeah.
Rinku Singh surprisingly made fun of for no apparent reason. He has a very good domestic record, but some of them are don't even have eminent, I mean, long domestic records. So I think the scouts have done a terrific job to identify these cricketers. I mean, remember this was an auction list of 600. These are not random selections.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I'm sure that one of them may turn out to be the next Venkatesh Iyer. In about 3 months' time, we'll see which one of them he is, or maybe the next
Definitely.
next top Indian cricketer.
Definitely. Sheldon Jackson was another good pick, I believe. And,
Yes,
to
yes,
have him in
yes.
the lineup and now perhaps get the opportunity to play more than he could have in the past seasons. And yeah, I think
Uh,
that's a good pick.
Jackson and Jalad Saxena are two cricketers I really feel they deserved more in their cricketing careers, and I think Jackson will play is likely to play almost the entire season for KKR.
I think he's been with the franchisee since 2009.
Yes,
If I'm
but
not
this
wrong.
time with no Karthik,
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's see.
So,
So
Yep.
I'm really happy for Jackson.
but who do you think will be the 12th man? Rinku Singh, or now they have Anupul Roy?
I wish
Here we have.
Rinko see KKR had a very strong top four policy in place, and their 5 and 6 were taken until last year. So
Yeah.
this time they have revamped everything. I
Yeah.
would really I'm not sure whether they should play both Rahane and Iyer in the top three, but they will. They probably will. So
But then
uh,
that
had it,
means there's no Alex Hales. That would
yeah.
mean no Alex Hales. And I mean, I think Alex Hales could be the X factor player, and with
I
its
think he
height.
does really well, in most of the leagues that he has played. The England controversy is a different thing altogether, but I think he's been, someone who you can bank on this particular format. And that call, if KKR are able to make that might segregate the new process for them, which is what we're talking about. They're moving on to a
that
fresh
call
page here.
that call is something all franchises are making around the world. So why not an IPL team?
Yeah,
Definitely. When you talk about it, the best league.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
essentially, if you pick Russell, Narayan, and Cummins, these are your obvious overseas picks. So you are left with a choice, and you probably go for Hales because
yeah.
uh, Hales and Iyer sounds better than Rahane and Iyer at the top.
So yeah, if you have Hales at the top, that means you don't have Billings, and Sheldon Jackson then comes in as your
Yes.
wicketkeeper for the main wicketkeeper for the season. But I'm not sure
Mhm.
again about the batting position that Sheldon Jackson will. Again, I believe he's more of a top four. I mean, he's more comfortable batting
Mhm.
in the top four. But yeah, I mean, he could be somebody like a floater.
But we've
Uh,
also seen Ayer perform at five, haven't we? I mean, I remember that England-India five-match T20I series last year, where he did get to bat lower down the order because Pant was at four. and India were opening with either KL, Ishan, or Shikhar in that series, in the 5-match series.
This
Shreyas got to bat at 5. He was the
Iyer
second
got
highest run
injured.
scorer for them.
Injured.
No, no. In the ODI series is where he got injured. In the T20 series, he played all the games. He got injured in the first ODI, and then he scored a couple of half centuries, if I remember correctly, at that position.
Yeah,
And
the
that
first
was,
game,
yeah,
yeah. I remember the
yeah,
first
might
match,
be an
10 for
yeah,
3 or something.
might be a nice time for him to bat lower down the order. Probably work on that strike rate thing. Maybe given that new role, maybe, who knows?
Probably yes, but because again, when he's competing for the main Indian team in the ODIs and even in the T20s, again we have a very top heavy Indian batting lineup, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to actually prove himself at number 5 and then uh, claim a
Yeah,
spot. But I don't see that happening with him. If he becomes the captain, I think he'll ideally want to bat in the top 4, preferably 3 or 4.
which is why you always need a leveler in a bowling captain. Is all we have to say. If
so
anyone from the
essentially
KKR team
also
management
also
somehow comes across this,
also the if you there's this Iyer Rahane top three, and if Rana is
yeah.
at four, it does it really sound intimidating to an opposition bowling attack?
Maybe
Like
not as much as they were used to. Maybe not as much as they were used to. No, I do think that they had a really solid
no,
three,
I
four,
think
five,
I think
which they
they will
somehow
have
got wrong
to.
at times.
No, they may have to return to that old strategy of pushing Narayan to the top.
That
I
Yeah,
think I think that is probably if they pick Iyer Rahane, they will have to push Narayan to the top. I can't.
who do you see? Because
I mean,
there's obviously this talk.
if most opposition captains wouldn't mind if Iyer Rahane batted out 20 overs and scored 150 for one.
But then there is no Rahane. Like if you don't open with him, then I don't see his value in the
Yeah.
11.
So essentially, basically, which
Yeah,
makes either push Narayan to the top or pick Hales.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Who do you see in place of? Yeah, because there were talks about who can replace Andre Russell in the 11, and
Why will
that's
someone
a big
replace Andre
question
Russell
for
in the
KK.
11?
Because if he's not fit, is when you would want to work out for a replacement. If he's injured during the season,
Yes, Chamika
who do you
Karuna,
see in place of him?
Chamika Karunaratne, like for like
That's a
replacement.
nice name.
There's Mohammad Nabi.
We don't know, like for like in IPL terms, not
There's
strictly like for
Nabi.
like in
Nabi.
IPL terms.
There's Nabi.
Yeah,
Nabi, yeah,
yeah,
Nabi is again expected to play the Shakib role that
Yes.
Shakib
yeah,
was
If
playing
there's
for.
no, if without Russell, they got Shakib. If they got Shakib
yeah,
last year, and this time they'll get Nabi.
And
yeah.
but hopefully we'll see Anukul Roy play a game this time.
Well, we've talked about all the teams, and our producer has a nice little segment lined up for us. So, yes, we now have the list of the most expensive lot. And tell me, gents, frankly, here we go. If you can push the graphic on screen, tell me which of these buys, which of these picks really surprised you, and you thought this amount of money for this particular player was maybe a tad too much. We know of Deepak Chahar and Harshal Patel's story, how RCB did say to Harshal that we'd rather want you to earn more in the auction. Um, to Deepak, of course, being picked at 14 crores was a lot, as he said, and did picture himself only playing for Chennai, wanted other players to come in for that amount. But yeah, who are the players here you thought were maybe picked up for a lot more than you expected?
Puran, but I'm biased. I'm biased
Oh,
for
that you've
Puran, so
already
I
told
won't.
us.
Yeah, so I won't mention Puran.
Uh, from this list, yes, Puran, I think probably 7-8 was the right kind of money. And if we even go a bit further down, I was quite surprised with Rahul Tewatia getting 9 crores and even Nitish Rana going over 8 crores. Those were the two other surprises for me.
Imagine what one over can do.
I'll insert a succession meme right here. This is war because Abhishek Da will go berserk if we don't give Tewatia the credit that he does. So yes, I think let's not do that. Let's not go there. It's let's end
No,
it
no. So
on a happy
yet
note.
another cricketer Rajasthan Royals created for another team.
Oh yeah, you can say whatever now, right? He performs in one match, and there you go. Rajasthan will have them.
One over created.
Yeah,
Sheldon.
yeah. Rajasthan gave Chennai Shane Watson. I mean, we can start. I mean, some Shane Watson and Ravindra Jadeja. Who
Oh
gave them? Who gave Chennai these players? Now that
yeah,
they are
yeah,
winning
but
IPLs for Chennai, who gave Chennai these players?
okay. I think we can go on and on about that, but let's not do that. That was it. That was the auction 2022 review from us, and yeah, if you're just joining us, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you want. You can give these fine gents a follow as well on Twitter with all of what they've given us in this 1 hour 20-minute video. They can give you more there. They've been talking about the auction. It's also always a nice thing to scroll back and go at what kind of emotions were there around the auction tables. But yeah, that's that from us at Cricket News Live. Thank you so much, James. It was a fun talking money, talking players, talking strategies to you. Perhaps the next time we discuss IPL is obviously going to be the big preview that we'll do. So, yes, for all of that and for all of cricket to come our way, stay tuned to Cricket News. Thank you so much for joining us. This is me, Rahul Pandey, signing out.